Hi guys, I'm so excited you're here with me today. My name is Louisa and I'm a nutritional sciences student at Rutgers, and today you will be helping me create my meals using MyPlate. I love using MyPlate because it's a great tool to use for me to figure out how many and what kind of nutrients I should have in the meal. So MyPlate has 4 sections on the plate and 1 section outside of the plate for dairy. So here we got fruit, we got veggies, we got proteins, and we got grains. And outside of here, I have laid out some different things, some categories, and I wonder if you guys can put them in their right place. What do you think? But before we get too ahead of ourselves, I want to introduce you to this video series. This is called Make My Plate Your Plate. And in this series, we will spend the day together talking about how to use the MyPlate in making your meals for the day. So in this series, we have 3 videos for you to watch whenever you're ready to make your meals. We got breakfast, we got lunch, and we got dinner. So let's jump right into it with breakfast. I got breakfast on my mind, but not in my belly, and that needs to change. So let's start with the protein. What do you think? What are some of the breakfast proteins that we can even have? Let's take a look. Well, looking at this, we might think we're kind of limited, but the truth is that we're not. We can get really creative with our protein source for breakfast. We can have some kind of leftover for breakfast, or we can even have some kind of dairy, and that's actually a great protein source for breakfast. But my favorite protein for breakfast is an egg, and that's the most obvious source of breakfast. A lot of people actually have this for breakfast, but there's so many different kinds of ways that you can cook an egg. What are some of the ways that you can think of? I can tell you that my favorite way is just to scramble the eggs. Just to scramble them, and they always come out really yummy with whatever kind of seasoning I choose to use that day. So let's move on to another section. Let's move on to the veggie section. What do you think? What are some of the veggies that go good with breakfast? What do you think? Well, I could tell you one thing. For me, what I love to do for breakfast is just to put some kind of salad green on the bottom, and then it sops up all the juices of the food, and it's like a yummy salad at the end of the meal. What could be better, right? Next, let's move on to the fruit. And I got something to tell you guys, because what I do for breakfast is I actually use an avocado for a fruit source. And you might be saying, Louisa, you're silly. Avocado is a vegetable. Look, it's green. But avocado is actually a fruit. It has a seed a big old seed in the middle, and it grows on a tree with a flower. So that's one way to tell if something is a fruit or not. And it's a yummy way to get your fruit nutrients for breakfast. Keep you full and focused for the whole entire day. Next, and the last one on our plate over here, is the grains. I've always had trouble with grains for breakfast and throughout the day. So I want to ask you guys, what are some of your favorite grains? If I had to think of a grain for breakfast, the most obvious one off the top of my head would be cereal, right? And we actually have our little cereal bowl right here. But there are other things you can have for breakfast, like maybe some sweet rice or piece of toast, or even if you like baguettes, you can have baguettes. You can have crackers. Some people have this thing called tapioca pudding, which is really delicious. But yeah, so there are lots of different grains out there. It just takes a little bit of investigating to find which ones you like. So let's move on to our next section. And our next section over here is dairy. What are the dairies that you have for breakfast? Any kind of dairy, what do you think? Well, the most obvious one, and the one that I enjoy for breakfast, is milk, right? But you can have yogurt or cheese for breakfast, and that's actually a great source of protein too. Like we talked about before, many dairy sources are actually great sources of protein. Alright guys, so I want you to remember that we're all so different, and that's so awesome. So everybody's plate is going to be looking a little bit different. That's okay, because there's so much variety out there, and our plates are going to reflect the same. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some examples of my plate, my actual dishes for the day, and we'll talk about together how I use my plate to think about my meals for the day. So if your parent or guardian or whoever else wants to join us, invite them to, and let's get started because I'm really hungry. Yay! I'm excited to show you guys some of my favorite meals of the day. And this is breakfast, my most favorite meal of the day. I like it because it keeps me full and focused for the whole entire day. No matter what kind of day I'm going to have, I like to have a good breakfast to keep me ready for my work day, my school day, my play day, my exercise day, any type of day you want. So let's start with our protein. Where's my protein? My protein's right here in the center of the plate. And here I have my eggs seasoned with, as you can see, a whole bunch of seasoning on it. And that's just how I like it. If you like them a little bit differently, that's okay. Sunny side up, sunny side down, hard boiled, soft boiled. Just remember, they're a great source of protein. Next up, we have our fruit. This is a bowl of orange melon. Now I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Louisa, those look like cantaloupes, silly. They're not orange melon. But actually, these are orange melon. They do look like cantaloupe. But I've only found these in the summer, so if you ever want to give them a try, they do taste a little bit different. Next up, we have our veggies. Our veggies over here under everything else, and this is my favorite way to introduce a veggie into my meal, by putting it under whatever I'm eating and using it kind of sort of like a plate, so my other food kind of seasons my salad greens, and this is how I have my veggies. Next, we have 2 extra servings on this plate of something that's already here. Can anybody guess what it is? Well, the first one is another fruit. Now, we learned before that tomatoes are a fruit, and these tomatoes are extra special to me because they came from my own backyard, and I think they taste really yummy. Next up, we have another veggie over here, and this is actually called a yuca. Kind of tastes like a potato. It's a South American root vegetable. It's really yummy. Next, I had my cup of milk, which was my dairy serving. Now, can anybody see what's not on my plate and not in this picture that's usually on my plate? If you said grains, you're correct. Now, you don't have to have grains with every meal, but it is recommended that you have it at least twice a day. So can you tell me some of your favorite grains for the day? Is it cereal? Is it some kind of oatmeal? What kind of breakfast grains are there? Alright guys, so I'm gonna go out to my garden for a little bit now and I'll see you guys for lunch.